The alley was cloaked in shadows that seemed to pulse with the steady, eerie ticking of countless corrupted clocks. Elian Marrow's breath came in shallow bursts, the cold night air biting at his cheeks as he moved cautiously forward. The metallic clinks and whirs of unseen clockwork constructs echoed around him, their rhythms at once hypnotic and disquieting. Each step he took felt heavier, as if time itself resisted his progress. His sharp green eyes scanned the dim surroundings, flickering with a mix of fear and determination. The weight of the city's unraveling fate pressed down on him, but his hands, smudged with oil and dust, were steady despite the tremor in his heart. From the shadows ahead, a sudden shimmer disrupted the dimness. Figures materialized, clockwork spirits, their forms twisted and corrupted, made of gears and fragments that seemed to shift and creak with unnatural life. Their limbs clicked and clattered, echoing a discordant symphony that made Elian's skin crawl. They swirled around him like a storm of shattered time, whispering faint echoes of moments lost and futures denied. He felt the pull of their presence, a temptation to surrender to the chaos and reshape the threads of fate as they desired. Suddenly, the air thickened, the ticking crescendoing into a deafening roar. From the heart of the storm emerged the chronomancer himself. Shrouded in shifting shadows and fragments of shattered clock faces, he moved with a grace that belied the destructive force he wielded. His eyes glowed faintly with temporal energy, cold and unyielding, burning into Elian's very soul. "You think you can mend what was broken?" He intoned, voice echoing with the weight of forgotten centuries. "Fate is no plaything for an apprentice." Elian's heart pounded in response, the words stirring a tempest of doubt and resolve within him. He gripped the small wrench at his belt, feeling the solid weight as a reminder of the craft he had devoted himself to. "I must try," he whispered, voice steady despite the chaos. Nearby, Miravos darted through the shadows, her cropped auburn hair catching the faint moonlight. She exchanged hurried whispers with Jorin, the street vendor, their faces tight with worry but fierce in their determination. "We can't let him face this alone," Mira said, her brown eyes flashing with resolve. Jorin nodded, clutching a bundle of strange tools and scraps. "I'll keep the factions busy, give you some breathing room." Back in the alley, Elian faced the swirling spirits once more. Their distorted voices filled his mind, tempting him with visions of altered pasts and rewritten futures. For a moment, the promise of control over fate shimmered before his eyes, an escape from the doubts and fears that had haunted him since his family's tragedy. But the dangerous allure was met with the sharp sting of reality as one spirit lunged, forcing Elian to duck and roll, clutching a broken gear that spun erratically in his hands. Impulsively, he reached out to manipulate the gear, hoping to stabilize the time loop threatening to trap him. The air warped, moments flickering and folding over themselves like fragile glass. His vision blurred with flashes of possible futures, some bright with hope, others dark with despair. The weight of choice pressed on him, the delicate balance between control and surrender manifesting in every heartbeat. The chronomancer's laughter echoed through the alley, a sound both mocking and mournful. "You fight against the tide of inevitability, child. But even your courage is but a broken gear in a vast machine beyond your reckoning." Elian's hands trembled, but his resolve hardened. Maybe, but even broken gears can be mended. As the battle raged, the city beyond the alley trembled with the growing instability of time. The lines between friend and foe blurred. Whispers of betrayal and alliance wove through the air like threads in a tapestry. Elian's fight was no longer just against the chronomancer, it was a struggle for the very soul of the city and the fragile fate that bound its people. And as the ticking clock echoed on, Elian knew this confrontation would shape not only his destiny, but the future of all who lived beneath the ever-watching timepieces. The battle was just beginning, and the shadows of time held their breath. The workshop was dim, lit only by the flickering glow of lanterns that cast long shadows across the scattered blueprints and ticking mechanisms spread out before them. Elian sat hunched over the largest map of the city he had ever seen, each district marked with pins and notes detailing the latest disturbances in the flow of time. Mira paced restlessly beside the worn wooden table, her auburn hair catching the lantern light as she spoke with clipped urgency. "The factions are fracturing faster than we can reach them," Mira said, her voice low but firm. "If we don't secure some kind of alliance, at least a truce, they'll all turn on each other before we even get to the chronomancer's doorstep." Joran leaned forward, his weathered face creased with concern. "I've been running the streets all day, listening. The Grey Syndicate isn't just interested in power, they want to harness the broken clocks for themselves. If they get their hands on that kind of control, well, it won't be just the city unraveling, but everything beyond it." Master Calder, his silver hair a stark contrast against the dark wood of the room, adjusted his spectacles thoughtfully. "This is why subtlety must guide our actions. We cannot merely storm the clock tower as if it were a simple fix. The chronomancer's influence runs deep, and there are those who would rather see the city burn than lose their grip on time's secrets." Elian's sharp green eyes flicked between his companions, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "We need to be a bridge," he said quietly, "between the factions, between past and future. If we fracture now, the chronomancer wins without a fight." Mira nodded, determination hardening her features. "I'll deliver the messages. If anyone can navigate the city's underbelly and the political games above, it's me." Joran grinned, clapping a hand on Mira's shoulder. "And I'll keep ears open at the market. Secrets and rumors are currency there, and I intend to spend it wisely." Master Calder's gaze softened, but his tone remained grave. "Elian, remember that the greatest clockmakers are those who understand the delicate balance of cogs and springs. So too must you balance caution with courage." The air in the room thickened with unspoken fears and hopes as the ticking of countless clocks filled the silence. Outside, the city pulsed with an uneasy rhythm, each chime a reminder of the fragile time they were racing against. Later, under a bruised twilight sky, Mira moved swiftly through the city's twisting streets. Her footsteps were light but purposeful, echoing faintly against the cobblestones slick with the evening's mist. She carried messages sealed with wax imprinted by Master Calder's insignia, each one a fragile thread weaving together the city's fractious factions. She paused at a shadowed alley where a grizzled messenger awaited, exchanging a nod before slipping past guards with practiced ease. The city's heartbeat was erratic, a pulse caught between hope and despair. And Mira knew that every word she delivered could either hold the fragile piece together or shatter it completely. Back in the bustling market, Joran navigated the crowd with a practiced eye. The scent of spiced bread and oil lamps mingled with whispered rumors. He leaned close to a vendor hawking trinkets, voice low and urgent. "The Syndicate's planning something big," he murmured. "Something that could break the city's time flow for good." The vendor's eyes flicked nervously, and Joran's own heart quickened. Every secret uncovered was a double-edged sword, revealing allies and enemies alike. Trust was a rare commodity, and betrayal lurked in every shadow. Meanwhile, atop the grand clock tower's balcony, Elian stood alone, the cold wind tugging at his oil-stained coat. Below him, the city spread out like a labyrinth of fractured moments and flickering lights. The skyline was jagged and broken, much like the clocks he sought to repair. Above, the first stars blinked through a veil of mist, ancient and steady. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, feeling the pulse of the city beneath his feet, the ticking heartbeat of countless lives intertwined with the fragile gears of fate. The coming confrontation loomed like a storm on the horizon, and though fear twisted in his gut, a quiet hope endured. Elian's thoughts drifted to the chronomancer, the shadowed figure whose grief and rage had bent time into a weapon. The lines between enemy and victim blurred in his mind, but the danger was undeniable. The city's future teetered on the edge of a blade, and only those brave enough to face the broken gears could hope to mend the flow of time. As the night deepened, the allies gathered once more in the workshop. Plans laid, messages sent, and secrets shared. They prepared for the dawn that would bring reckoning. Elian's voice broke the tense silence. Tomorrow, we step into the heart of the storm. Whatever happens, we face it together. Outside, the city's clocks ticked onward, each tick a fragile promise and a haunting reminder. Time was running out. And in the shadows, the chronomancer watched, waiting. The edge of time had been reached. Now the battle for fate itself would begin. The air inside the grand clock tower was thick with the scent of aged metal, the faint tang of ozone lingering like a whispered warning. Elian Marrow stepped cautiously into the inner sanctum, his sharp green eyes adjusting to the dim light filtered through stained glass windows that painted the stone walls in muted hues of amber and cobalt. Above him, colossal gears loomed like ancient sentinels, their teeth grinding in irregular patterns that sent tremors through the floor beneath his feet. The rhythmic ticking that once marked the heartbeat of the city now morphed into a dissonant symphony, each beat echoing with a distorted cadence, as if the flow of time itself sputtered uncertainly. Elian's breath caught, a mixture of awe and unease settling over him like a shroud. He reached out instinctively, fingers brushing against the cold iron of a nearby cog, feeling the pulse of the machinery beneath his touch. It was alive, fragile, faltering, but alive. A whisper stirred in the depths of his mind, the faintest trace of voices long past, clockmakers who had come before him, their secrets woven into the very gears around him. Suddenly, the world shifted. The ground beneath Elian seemed to fold, colors bleeding and blending as the familiar surroundings fractured into a kaleidoscope of moments. A jagged gear overhead slipped from its axis, shattering with a metallic clang that reverberated like a gunshot in the confined space. Elian's heart lurched as the same moment replayed in an endless loop, the gear falling, the shattering sound, the echoing clang. Time trapped him, imprisoning him in a cruel repetition. Each loop compressed his chest tighter, the weight of inevitability pressing down like a vise. Yet within the relentless cycle, Elian found a spark of defiance. With each repetition, his mind sharpened, his resolve crystallizing. He recognized the pattern, the cracks in the temporal fabric, and with trembling hands, he reached out to steady the fractured gear before it could fall. The clang still sounded, but this time the cycle faltered. The loop wavered, the fractured moments splintering into fragments of possibility. Visions bloomed before Elian's eyes, fleeting glimpses of futures both radiant and bleak. He saw the city bathed in golden light, its inhabitants moving in peaceful harmony with the steady ticking of repaired clocks. Then, shadows swallowed the streets, faces of friends twisted in sorrow and loss. Each vision pulsed with a heartbeat of hope entwined with dread. Elian's breath hitched as the kaleidoscope of futures swirled around him, a tempest of time threatening to engulf his very soul. But amidst the chaos, he grasped a fragile thread, a slender filament of hope that shimmered with possibility. Clinging to it, he knelt before the broken mechanisms, fingers deftly maneuvering through the intricate maze of gears and springs. The cold metal whispered secrets as they yielded to his touch, the fractured parts beginning to sing a tentative song of restoration. With a final measured twist, the broken gear settled into place, meshing seamlessly with its companions. The erratic ticking smoothed into a steady pulse, a heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm of the city itself. Light poured through the stained glass, bathing the chamber in a warm glow that chased away the shadows and the oppressive hum of distorted time. Elian rose, his body trembling with exhaustion but his spirit alight with triumph. Yet beneath the relief stirred a deeper understanding. Fate was no longer a fixed path, but a labyrinth of moments, mutable and complex. The battle inside the clock tower had revealed the fragile balance between control and surrender, and Elian knew that the journey ahead demanded courage beyond mere skill. As he stepped toward the towering exit, the whispers of past clockmakers faded, replaced by the steady ticking that now filled the air. Elian's eyes lifted to the horizon beyond the city, where the first pale light of dawn crept through the clouds. The labyrinth of moments had tested him, but it had not claimed him. With renewed determination, he prepared to face whatever threads of fate awaited, knowing that each tick brought both peril and promise. Yet, even as the clock tower settled into quiet order, a shadow flickered at its edge, a reminder that time's labyrinth held still more secrets, and that Elian's true trial was only just beginning. The labyrinth of moments had been navigated, but the path ahead remained shrouded in mystery and challenge. And with each tick of the clocks, the city held its breath, poised on the edge of fate's fragile balance. The heart of the grand clock tower was a cavernous cathedral of ticking and turning, where gargantuan gears meshed with the precision of a living organism. Elian Marrow stepped cautiously onto the metal catwalk, the echo of his footsteps swallowed by the vast machinery. Every breath he took was thick with the scent of aged metal and oil, and every tick of the colossal clocks resonated deep within his chest. The air was charged with an energy that bent the very fabric of time, causing moments to shimmer and stretch like heat waves on a summer road. He had been drawn here by the unraveling threads of fate, pulled by the mysterious power that had fractured the city's temporal fabric. But nothing had prepared him for the presence that awaited a figure cloaked not just in shadow, but in the very essence of broken time itself. The chronomancer emerged from the depths of the clock tower's heart, a swirling amalgam of fragmented clockworks and shifting darkness. Their eyes glowed with a faint, eerie-light temporal energy pulsing like twin stars, illuminating the broken gears that adorned their form. "You have come far, Elian." The chronomancer's voice was both a whisper and a roar, reverberating through the chamber like the toll of a distant bell. "But you cannot undo what has been set in motion. Time is mine to command." Elian tightened his grip on the tools at his belt, the familiar weight grounding him amid the surreal atmosphere. "You don't have to do this," he replied, voice steady despite the storm of emotions within. "There's still a chance to repair the damage, to restore balance." A bitter laugh escaped the chronomancer, mingling with the grinding of gears. Balance. The city's fate was shattered the day I lost everything. My family stolen by the very time I sought to control. I sought to protect them, to remake destiny itself, but all I wrought was a curse. The revelation struck Elian like a chime of sorrowful bells. This was no mere villain, but a tragic soul trapped in the same web of loss and desperation. He took a cautious step forward, the shadows swirling as if to warn him back. "I understand loss," Elian said softly, "but reshaping fate through broken gears and corrupted time spirits only deepens the wounds. There's another way, one that doesn't sacrifice the city or its people." The chronomancer's eyes flared brighter, temporal energy rippling outward in waves that bent the light and sound. Around them, the clock tower's mechanism seemed to shift, time folding in on itself as moments looped and fractured. Suddenly, Elian was caught in a whirlpool of shifting seconds. Visions flashed before him, echoes of possible futures where the city crumbled, where hope faded beneath the weight of despair. The battle was not just for the city's present, but for every moment that could ever be. He fought to steady his mind, recalling the lessons ingrained by Master Calder and the unwavering support of Mira. With trembling hands, Elian reached out to the fractured gears that floated in the air like fallen stars, coaxing them to mend and realign. His empathy wove through the broken machinery as surely as his tools, breathing life into the fractured flow of time. The chronomancer recoiled, their form flickering between wrath and vulnerability. "You would dare to fix what I have torn asunder?" "I dare," Elian replied, voice ringing with newfound courage. "Because fate is not a prison, but a weave of choices. And sometimes, to heal, we must first understand." For a moment, the shadows thinned. The relentless ticking slowed to a heartbeat. The two adversaries stood locked in a fragile silence that trembled with possibility. "Perhaps," the chronomancer whispered, "there is more to time than control and loss. Perhaps there is mercy, As the first threads of dawn crept into the chamber, Elian felt the weight of the curse begin to lift, not with shouts or force, but with the quiet power of understanding and hope. The heart of the curse beat anew, fragile yet unbroken, as the city's fate hovered on the cusp of redemption. Yet Elian knew this was only the beginning. The gears of time might still turn, but the choices made here would echo through every ticking moment to come. And he would be ready to face whatever shadows lurked beyond the broken gears, armed with the strength to shape a future where hope endured. The grand clock tower groaned beneath the strain of fractured time, its immense gears spinning wildly, some shattered, others caught in endless loops of motion and stillness. Shadows flickered at the edges of Elian's vision, cast by the stuttering lanterns hanging precariously from rusted chains. The air was thick with the scent of aged metal and faint ozone, a tangible electricity born of temporal distortion. Elian's breath came in shallow bursts, each inhale sharp with urgency, as he crouched low to grasp the largest broken gear visible through the swirling haze. Around him, the chronomancer loomed like a spectre woven from shifting shadows and shards of clockwork. His eyes glowed faintly with an eerie temporal light, casting a ghostly luminescence that danced across the cracked stone walls. The air rippled where he moved, bending moments and twisting seconds into a maddening tapestry of loops and echoes. Elian could feel the weight of those broken moments pressing against his mind, each one a fragment of a fate unraveled. "You cannot hold this together," the chronomancer's voice whispered, a blend of scorn and sorrow that seemed to echo from everywhere and nowhere. "Time is a river, and you are trying to dam its flow. It will break you." Elian's fingers trembled, but his resolve did not waver. "Maybe," he replied, "but if the river breaks free, it will drown us all." With a careful, practiced touch, he reached into the heart of the chaos. The broken gear was jagged and cold, its edges worn from the relentless grinding of distorted moments. Elian's hands, smeared with oil and dust, worked quickly, coaxing the fragmented pieces back together. Each click and twist echoed like a heartbeat, a fragile pulse struggling to beat against the tide of decay. Around them, time loops manifested as ghostly echoes, phantoms of the past, and possible futures swirling in a dizzying spiral. Elian caught glimpses of himself, younger and unsure, trapped in moments he had long since tried to forget. He saw Mira's worried face, Master Calder's stern gaze, and the city streets bending and folding like paper caught in a storm. The chronomancer moved with fluid grace, weaving temporal energy into devastating attacks that bent light and sound. Elian dodged and parried, drawing on every lesson learned in the workshop and every whispered secret from the past clockmakers. His empathy for the fragile lives bound to each clock fueled his determination, even as the weight of the curse pressed down like a leaden shroud. "You fight against the inevitable," the chronomancer intoned, "but fate is a wheel that turns beyond your grasp." "Fate is what we make it," Elian countered, tightening his grip on the gear. "And sometimes we have to break the wheel to set things right." With a final, deft motion, Elian locked the gear into place. The fractured mechanism began to turn smoothly, its restored rotation sending a ripple through the surrounding time loops. The ghostly echoes faltered, then scattered like mist caught in the morning sun. The city's reality wavered, a fragile heartbeat syncing with the repaired gears. The chronomancer faltered, his temporal energy flickering uncertainly. "No, this is not how it was meant to be," he hissed, shadows twisting around him like a dark storm. But Elian felt the shift, a tentative hope threading through the chaos. The curse's grip loosened, if only for a moment. Yet the battle was far from over. The strain of repairing the broken gears had left Elian exposed, his strength waning beneath the relentless pressure of time's unraveling. The fragile balance between control and surrender hung by a thread, and the future remained uncertain. As the echoes of their clash faded, Elian's eyes met the chronomancer's, and in that suspended moment, both warriors understood that fate was not a chain but a fragile, twisting path, one that could be reshaped by those brave enough to face the broken gears of time. The grand clock tower trembled once more, but this time its heartbeat was steadier. The city held its breath, waiting to see if the next tick would bring salvation or the final unraveling. Elian's hands, still trembling, moved to the next broken gear, ready to fight for every second, every moment, and every life tethered to the ticking heart of the city. For the city, he whispered, eyes bright with fierce determination, I will not let time break us. And with that vow, the battle against the curse surged onward, a storm of broken gears and unyielding hope.